Welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast. I'm PJ Noodleman, joined today by our guest. He's racking up all kinds of wins and championships so far this season, Grant Griesbach. Hey, Grant.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Wow. When you and I record this now, you just racked up the red, white, and blue championship,
hmm
and you've been racking up a lot of wins. Did you get another championship too since then?
No, we got a couple and hoping to get a couple more over Labor Day weekend in a couple weeks, with the WIR weekly season ending and the Slinger season ending. And we got the Truck Series has a few months to go yet, and I believe 4 or 5 races yet. So there's some work to do there, and just a busy summer.
And at the time of this recording, you're actually leading many of those points
Yep.
races.
We're leading at WIR, and we're leading at Slinger yet, with 2 to go at each track. Trucks were finally flipped. Brandon Reichenberger's had a great season as well. He's a couple points ahead of me, but it's kind of a 2 truck battle there to finish that season out, and there's plenty of time for stuff to happen in that as well.
Well, again, by the time this thing airs, we'll know whether you're wearing multiple crowns or
hmm
not. So I'll be the first to say, congratulations,
Oh,
Grant, on
thank
all of
you.
your championships.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I remember seeing you race at Slinger when you were just starting, right? Is that where you
hmm
first started to race?
Yep. I started in 4 cylinders there when I was 9 years old. I did go-karts before that. Me, my dad, my grandma, and grandpa traveled the country with WKA racing go-karts, and I kind of outgrew go-karts, and circle track racing was always kind of the goal. So we kind of made the jump over to 4 cylinder racing, and it's kind of taken off from there.
So did your dad race or someone in your family race? How did you get
No, no one in
introduced?
my family has ever raced. My dad always had a big interest in it when he was a kid, but he always says they didn't have race cars in the trailer park he grew up in. So he's kind of put his dream into me, and he kind of lives through me a little bit. So I'm the first person in my family to do it, and so we all kind of can work as a team and love it together.
Do you remember the first time as a kid that you went to the racetrack?
I was so young when I started. It's kind of all blurred together. It's just something I've always done every weekend all summer long since I can remember. So it's just kind of I always explain to people it's not a hobby anymore. It just became a lifestyle and just something you just do. You don't know kind of sometimes why you do it. It's just you can't live without it, and you always got to keep doing it.
It's in your blood.
Yep.
For sure. So, talk to me a little bit about this season because 2025 really seems like a big
hmm
breakthrough season for you. I know that you've changed up some things and the people that you're
hmm
surrounding yourself with. Talk a little bit about what you've implemented this season that you feel has really helped you have these great breakthroughs in all avenues, really.
We've kind of been doing the same thing for a few years now, working with Casey Johnson, setting the cars up, and I think it's just finally everything coming together. There's been a lot of years of bad luck between, wrecks, motors, you name it, we've probably had problems with it, and it's finally everything's just clicked. I think there's always a little bit of work to be done, between driver, crew chief, and just getting that perfect setup. And a couple of the wins at the beginning of the year almost felt too good to be true. Like maybe we weren't the best car. It's just we were really good and put ourselves in spots to win. And it's kind of just started the year, and the momentum's just carried. The big couple truck wins to start the year, the Tundra win, the Red Race. It's just all big races and more than I could have ever dreamed of. So it's just kind of now we're in the stages of just finishing it out, finishing top three, top five, and just avoiding the really bad nights. We've all been working hard. I bought a house last summer, so I finally have my own place to work on race cars. I've been racing out of Conrad Morgan's shop since I was 13 and made my super late model debut. So some of my stuff's still there. He's always there to lend a hand. We blew a motor last time at Slinger, so the Slinger car's at his place. We finished up putting the motor back in it for next weekend today to hopefully finish out that championship run as well. So I got a lot of people that have been very successful in super late model racing over the years, and it's always good to have that in your corner to lean on.
How did you develop those friendships?
It was through crew guys when I was a younger kid racing at Slinger. I always ran limited late models there at the time. It was for a year, and kind of put a deal together to run Conrad Morgan's backup car. It was the white 92 Dodge, already 10 years ago now. So just kind of put that together, and then I had a bad wreck with my limited late the week after, and we're kind of left with wondering what we were going to do for the rest of the year. And he said, "We'll just drive that car for the rest of the year on Sunday nights," and kind of just learned a lot and ended up buying that car, and that relationship took off.
That's pretty cool.
So,
Yeah, you got some really good people around you, I
mhm,
think, that have really helped you out tremendously, even just for probably getting a good feel for
mhm,
understanding what you're feeling in the car.
yeah.
How long did it take for you to finally be able to confidently give feedback on what you're feeling and what you need in the car?
Um, it's always been fairly, I feel like, simple for me to give kind of the feedback, just being a race car driver, and as long as I've done it. It probably when I was 13, 14, getting into super late, and you kind of working with the people around you that have done it for, 40, 50 years at that time with Conrad, it's kind of, they almost explain to you what you should be feeling, and if it's not, you kind of got to walk them through it. And go-karts, it was always a big thing too, to, try to give good feedback, because there's not, a bunch of people watching you kind of telling you how it is and how it's not. So I've felt pretty confident in that over the past few years, and it's always easier when you're working with other race car drivers because they know what's out there on that track that day as well, and normally they're running something similar to what you are.
Yeah, that is a good way to set it up. You're running a very aggressive schedule this year. I
hmm
mean, super busy. How has that been? Because I feel like you're running more this year than you've ever run, right?
Yeah, I tried to do it last year, and it kind of just started out with a lot of bad luck. We had some go through the radiator first race at Slinger, and that kind of set us back. And then had another motor problem in mid-July, and then had a ultimately the super late season ended with a wreck at the Blue Race. Coming to the finish line, just running third, and the leaders tangled and destroyed race car. And then the truck season kind of started out slow, and we heated up near the end of the year. So it's kind of I had those plans for last year, and they just seemed like none of them could kind of come together. And this year, everything's just kind of came together, and we've been successful in both the cars and the trucks. So everything's kind of just taken off and gelled together. I've been really kind of burnt out, especially these last few weeks as the season wears down. Especially with changing motors. We changed a motor in our WIR car a few weeks ago too, so that just adds for busy weeks and busy times. And I'm definitely ready for Labor Day weekend to come, and can just look at all the success we've had in the rearview mirror and have a couple weekends off to relax and hopefully rebuild for some bigger events.
And that does bring me to my next question. So, like post-season stuff, I'm sure you're planning to come over to Oktoberfest.
Yeah, that was the plan last year before the wreck. So I'm hoping to run Thursday and Friday nights. I'm in the super late, and then we'll be there with the truck Saturday night. So hoping we have a car together to run that. And my dad's kind of had some ideas to go down to Freedom Factory in late November and run that race as well.
That was
Um,
another question I was going to
mhm.
ask if you're going to do some traveling a little bit in the off
Yeah,
season.
we figured that race is probably the best race to kind of s- race somewhat financially responsible. Traveling for racing's never a smart move financially, but it's more events to kind of go down there and see what you got compared to everyone across the country, not just only Wisconsin. Although a lot of the Wisconsin guys went down there and did very good last year. So
Yeah, I was going to say, well, obviously Ty won that, but
hmm
Casey, it was an all Wisconsin podium,
yeah,
and Casey's working with you, so it's not like you won't go down there without a baseline. So that's pretty
yeah,
sweet.
no. Hopefully we can take some of that success if we do decide to go down there.
When will you know if you're going to go?
Probably around that Oktoberfest timeline, we'll have our plans together, and hopefully we don't have too much problems with that car at Oktoberfest. And we started with a newer car that Casey only had a couple races on last year that we bought from him. So that's kind of our WR car is like our main car. Slinger car we've had for 5, 6 years now. So it's getting older for super late model standards. So definitely want to take the best piece we got down there and hopefully contend for it in the end.
So there've been a couple of events where you've run kind of like the double, right? Where you're doing
hmm
the truck and the car. How do you get all of your stuff to the track?
Well, the truck is completely run by Scott Lynch, so I just go over and scale with him, and he maintains it all. He brings the truck and trailer to the racetrack on that one, so I'm just the suitcase driver on that. Last year at the Dixieland, I ran the double, and that's the only time I've done it. And I said I'd never do it again. I probably would if it came down to it, but that made for a long day. But it was also kind of really helpful that have Casey wasn't running that year, and he could completely control the Superlate program. And between Scott and the guys, they could control the truck program, and all I had to do was drive. So that's definitely something that's nice to have in your corner and makes those busy days a lot easier.
I feel like the more seat time you get too, the better, like a repetition, right?
hmm Yeah, I think the truck's kind of it's definitely made me a better race car driver because I've kind of was a little bit rushed into superlates, and that's all I've known since I was 13 years old. So it's good to take a step back and get into things with less horsepower, less grip, and those trucks you kind of have to you drive them a lot harder than you do a super late. You kind of got to manhandle them sometimes, and with the less power, it you got to take time to think about your corner and setting it up and make sure you got your speed down the straightaway because it's the motor's not gonna save you from a bad corner. So you got to make sure you hit it right, and that's definitely kind of carried over to the super late program and hopefully making me hit my marks every lap. And when those cars are way easier to drive. So it's just kind of made me a lot better driver overall. And, the truck series gets me traveling that we've kind of never done. So it's definitely helped. And obviously it's paid off this year when everything's coming together, right?
Indeed, indeed. So when you talk about setting somebody up to pass, um, you just seem like such an even-keeled guy. Have you
hmm
ever lost your temper behind the wheel?
I did. I used to as a kid. I was almost not aggressive enough, and then you get pushed around, and then to the point where you explode. But I got Craig Kowaleski spots for me on Thursday nights when he spots me when Casey's not there, Brad Miller's not in the truck, so he keeps me very calm. My dad used to yell over the radio a lot more when I was a kid, but he's learned a lot from Craig, and they do a very good job at keeping me calm. And it's a lot easier to stay calm inside the race car when everything's going good, and you can kind of give and take at this point in the year when you're leading the points because all you got to do is finish, second or third. We all want to win, every race we go out there, but it kind of makes you'll take the second and thirds when they come to you, and you just kind of come back next week. And it's also easier when you're racing 2, 3 times a week because your mind can just shift to the next race right away. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse. You don't have time to celebrate the good times, but you also don't have too much time to dwell on the bad nights.
Oh man, I can relate to that too with Toby. If he's had a bad night, it's like, oh
hmm
man. That's why I hate if the snowball derby doesn't go well because that's a
Yeah.
long ass time
Yeah, you
until
got till
you
speed
race.
weeks until he's turning that one around.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
hmm
So, what do you do for a living, for your regular day job?
I do cost segregation studies at Baker Tilly. It's tax work, so basically try to accelerate depreciation for new construction or newly acquired construction. So I graduated through from UW Whitewater with an economics degree. So this is kind of where my career's taken me. I never sought out to do this. It's kind of just what came to me, and family friend wanted me to come work for him and intern here, and kind of just stuck it out. I was bartending at my family bar Anglers in Fremont through college, and I do that once in a while now. I'd say I make celebrity appearances there. So sometimes I'll come work a weekend, normally once a month, and when free time allows. So I try to stay as busy as I can and try to keep everything rolling.
You realize how funny that sounds to have somebody who majored in economics racing because racing doesn't really seem like a way to be
No,
economically sound, does
it
it?
is not. No, it's just kind of where life took me, and I'm kind of one of those guys. I just take the opportunities as they come. I'm not a huge, future planner, and this is where I want to be. Kind of just take the opportunities that come to you and just run with them.
You've been doing a really good job running with them, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Thank you.
And talk a little bit about your girlfriend. I know
Uh,
her.
yeah. I've kind of been with her for close to a year now, so she's definitely awesome, and she loves racing more than I do. So. She's definitely been a big part of keeping me organized a lot more than I've ever been. So she probably thought at the beginning of the year that she was a good luck when I won like 3 out of my first 5 races. But as that's worn off, maybe it's brought her back down to earth a little bit. But She's awesome. It's good to have someone that understands racing kind of in your corner, and it's kind of you never have to explain anything to her, and she keeps me going, and she knows on the bad nights that she kind of lets me have my bad nights and throw my fits and be pissed off for a week. So it's kind of a give and take, but no, Steph's been awesome, and kind of really glad she's in my corner for all this.
Well, and she's originally from Bangor. So
hmm
how did you guys meet?
Kind of through racing, and she shot her shot with me. She started texting me, and kind of met her that way through racing, and kind of just took off from here. Kind of just again one of those things that got thrown out in front of me and just happened.
That's a good life you're living, Grant. You
hmm
must be living good.
Yep. Yep. No, I always tell her she's my cougar. She's 5. I tell her 6 years older than me because her birthday is 3 months before mine. So she's old. I tell her that all the time. But no, it's good to have someone that loves racing in your corner and that just understands it, and she's there for me and everything in life. So,
That's really awesome. I think that's probably one of the biggest battles
hmm
people involved in racing have is if their significant other doesn't get it.
hmm
It's
yeah,
super hard to keep doing what you want to
hmm
do without that
yeah.
understanding. So,
No, if they think
God,
it's a phase,
yeah,
yeah,
right.
no,
Yeah, God bless you. So I love that you
yeah,
guys ended up meeting up, and now you're
yeah.
an item. She probably kind of was a bit of your lucky charm.
Yeah, probably. She definitely she helped me out a lot, just staying calm and being prepared for the race season, and that definitely helped quite a bit. And she again keeps me organized, make sure I don't forget anything at home. I got 100 things to remember to bring to the racetrack, so glad she's keeps me in line.
Very cool. What has been your favorite win so far in your career?
Um, well, it's kind of been topped. That Tundra race at the beginning of the year definitely was at that time, but that red race and ended up being the Rich Summers Memorial this year, kind of a double, a race I won in the past. But winning a red race, we've been running the red, white, and blue series for so I was 16, so 7, 8 years now, and I've had a lot of those races we should have won, and it just for some reason bad luck doesn't happen. Finish second or third or coming with the wreck cars. So we've definitely been chasing that one for a long time. I never thought that, it'd lead to a red, white, and blue championship, but I'm kind of still speechless on that. I haven't quite soaked that one in yet, and I'm sure that'll take some time to kind of sink in as my first super late championship of any kind, and hopefully there's a few more to celebrate it with. But that red race was definitely something very special to me. Holding off Casey Johnson, Chad Butts, Ty was there that night, and there's a lot of great race cars that we showed we can beat.
That's cool. Do you have a favorite racetrack?
Uh, well, WR is where I race every week, but Slinger is just it's that place close to home. And although we're leading the points this year, I haven't won there since I was 15, and my only super late win there. So it's been a long 8 years now, and I've been really chasing that one and working. It's one of those places that you kind of feel like you pound your head against the wall sometimes there, and but it's a place you can't give up and you can't quit, and I just love going there on Sunday nights.
It is probably one of my favorite places to go to.
hmm
There's such history steeped into the
hmm
place, right? I mean, I think that
Yeah.
that's part of the allure for people too.
There's just nothing like it. The high banks, quarter mile, 11-second laps. I always tell people Slinger National is probably the hardest race, physically and on your equipment wise all year because it's just 200 laps of going. There's no breaks at Slinger. It's right when you think you're getting on the gas, it's time to lift for the next corner. So it's just that place is just very special, and it's always a thrill to race there.
Very nice. So, is there a track that you would love to run at anywhere in the country that you haven't been on? Even if
I've
it's like a
always
cup track or something. Is there one that it's like, man, I'd love to run there?
I've always said Bristol growing up at Slinger. I've been to a couple NASCAR races there when I was a kid. And I've always just thought it's a big slinger, more speed, and still that kind of short track feel to it. So I would love to race there one day. I guess we'll see if it's possible down the road, maybe bucket list a little bit later on in life. But that's definitely one of the places I've loved watching racing since I was a kid and always wanted to be there.
They do run a super late race there at one point during the season. I forget what
Hmm.
it's called. So maybe,
Maybe
maybe
one day that'd be a super late there with just how much lighter than NASCAR cars they are. They fly around there, so that's definitely a race you got to be on your A game for and have a very good car.
for
So.
sure. Who are your heroes growing up? I mean, I know you mentioned Conrad Morgan, but
Hmm.
even on the national stage, who were some of the racers that were like the posters on your wall?
Well, being number 17, I was a big Matt Kenseth fan growing up. That's kind of who my dad cheered for when I was a kid, them growing up and, graduating in Hartford and going to Slinger. And that's kind of who I looked up to when I was a really young kid. And then my teenage years getting to race against him at the Nationals. When he'd make his appearances was always a good time. I had a little run-in with him at the Dixieland a few years ago, so that kind of he made a mistake and we both went spinning. It was no harm, no foul. But it was one of those like, well, I just got spun out by Matt Kenseth. That's as weird as that sounds. That's kind of cool. But no, and I was it's so hard with racing to explain to other people, when you get to race against your heroes is it's definitely different. It's like if you got to go play catch with Aaron Rodgers or, it's not many people get the opportunities to compete at a very high level with people that have done it for a living and we can just show up and, be in the same position as they are.
Do other people in your circles of whether it's work or friends that are not really involved in racing, do they get the passion that you have for racing?
A lot of my close friends do. Growing up there in Pewaukee, there's racing's not a big thing at all. I was definitely the only one really remotely interested in it. So my friends would always come out to support, me just because I loved it. They're not going to the racetrack if I'm not there, but they understood it after a while, and it became something that you know, try to pique the interest of my friends. And I haven't quite got them out to the racetrack as much as I'd hoped I could, but it's something that they've kind of supported. And my family definitely has learned a lot about it and kind of came to support it and love it. But it's kind of just where I grew up and it wasn't quite the big thing.
Yeah. So if everything goes well the rest of the season, do you think you'll be doing everything like this again next year?
That's definitely something to think about. We've kind of been talking about that a little bit with everything, as we've kept going. But I always love weekly racing. It's a way to kind of do it affordably, and we get very good sponsors and supporters, and the crew help to do it. So it's hard to quit, something when you're winning them all, and it's always easy to want to not do it if you're not doing good, but it's hard to not go defend championships, and it's hard to just walk away from something that when you got a good thing going, it's just hard to quit on it. So we'll see. I'm not committing to anything right now in stone, but I definitely love to do the Slinger season, Kakana season, and the truck season again next year.
Yeah, I can kind of feel that for people. We all kind of laugh about Aaron Rodgers not being able to
Hmm.
retire, or Brett Favre
Yeah.
not being able to retire, Tom Brady not being able to
Yep.
retire. It is kind of a hard thing to give up when it's in
Yeah.
your blood to do something
Mhm.
like that. You're way too young to retire anyway, though.
Yeah, no, I've just always thought about cutting back, but I've also being 23 now, in my 20s, I figured do it as much as I can now before one day I can't, or you got other life stuff and commitments and you can only race 10 to 15 times a year. So I'll keep burning it at both ends now while I can and I guess see where opportunities take me to, what kind of goes out the door and you never know where tracks and series are going to go or what the schedules look like. So just kind of take it one year at a time and kind of just see where it takes me.
That is a very healthy way to look at it for
Mhm.
sure. What do you do on your off time when you don't have to go race or like in the off season or when you do have, now you're talking about having some weeks off here over after
Yeah.
the season. What do you do?
Um, me and my dad are huge Packer fans, so he got season tickets a few years ago that were his uncle's. So normally every weekend that the Packers are at home, we're up in Green Bay on Sundays and definitely spend a lot of time up there in that Fox Valley area and Fremont. Just kind of chill out with my work schedule. It's kind of I work a lot through the late winter, early spring, so I kind of try to make up half my year's worth of hours there so I can go off and race all summer. So it's kind of just that. I picked up hunting last year a little bit in my backyard, but not too many things. I kind of just work, race, and a couple other things on the side.
I love that. Very cool. So then when will you know if you are going to go to the Freedom Factory? When will that
Um,
decision be made?
Probably be sometime around September. We'll be making that decision. Got to get through all of our weekly stuff here, and then kind of make sure we got the equipment to do it. And it's one of those things you don't want to go down there and not put the full effort into it. You want to make sure you're really prepared to do it. And we haven't been down to race in Florida since I was in middle school. We ran speed weeks with the Pro Late models twice, and both of those kind of ended up very. We were prepared, but the amount of stuff they wrecked down there during those weeks can get grueling sometimes. And with the budget we try to race on, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So we feel like this is kind of the best way to do it. And feel like with the year we've had, there's no better time than now to go down there and compete and see what you can do.
And especially knowing that you had an all Wisconsin podium last year
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
right?
and it's a lot easier too when you got Casey Johnson in your corner setting your cars up, and he's very good. And I hope I can drive about 90% as good as he does down there, and I think we'll end up all right.
Do you put some input on the setups too, or do you just let him do and you drive?
I kind of let him do his thing. I give, my input as he's, out there driving. But when I kind of started running with him, it was a lot of the things that I tried to change my driving style and habits to the way he likes his car, so we're not too far off. I've kind of learned to adjust myself to, try to figure out how to drive the car the way it needs to be drove, and then work from there. But he's the mastermind behind the speed the 17s have had this year and at both tracks. And he's definitely been we had a couple lull years in 2019, 2020, and he's definitely kind of jumped our super late program up and got us winning at WIR. And now we're finally winning, winning some championships, and success is finally, paying off, and we're finally getting our, my name out there a little bit.
Yeah, it I feel like your name is definitely among all the contenders when we're talking
Hmm.
about anybody entered into a race.
Hmm.
And absolutely Casey Johnson is a brilliant mind for setting up race cars. What did you do though? Did you like watch video of him? Because if you're racing and he's racing, how do you watch what he's doing?
It's kind of, well, he's normally been running like the Midwest Tour, so it's you kind of just pick up on the habits, and he's always raced at WIR. So following him back when he used to drive for Chase Motorsports in the 47, you kind of compete with him for that long. You kind of know, how he does it and how he likes his things, and how he's kind of one of those very smart race car drivers too, that's never one to really push the envelope. He just makes the best out of what he can, and you can win a lot of races doing that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Keeping your head on straight and
Hmm.
keeping the big picture in mind too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've had to learn over the years.
What is the best trophy you've ever won?
Um, that I would say to date, not having the red, white, and blue or anything like that. I have the red race trophy, which is cool. But that tons race trophy with the Bear 96 with the bear on the top is pretty cool. Also, when I was a kid in go-karts, if you won a championship, you always got an Eagle trophy, which was always cool. I don't know where a couple of them have went over the years. You kind of when you go kart race, it's one of those where you got a lot of trophies that you don't necessarily remember what they are because they were so long ago. But I need a lot more cool trophies in my house, that's for sure. We kind of need a lot of those bigger race wins, and then hopefully I can start a collection. This year I started hanging those big checks around the house, so Steph's not quite the biggest fan of that yet. I wanted one over the bed, over the headboard of the bed, but she wouldn't let me put anything there. So I got the basement. That's what I'm allowed to decorate.
That is hilarious because I hear that for a lot of friends whose husbands love to
Mhm.
hunt. They don't want all the deer
Yeah.
mounts all over, and
Yeah,
for you, it's
that
the
might be a little
checks.
freaky, but yeah, no, that's the big checks are always fun to have around the house. Those are almost cooler to me than the trophies are.
That is awesome. I love it. You should take one to the bank and see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, try that out.
Well, I wish you all the luck, Grant, in the rest of the season. It's really nice to see a nice guy
Hmm.
actually have some great success, and I think we're going to see a lot more. It
No,
seems like you've got a really good package going together with the team and the equipment and your own racing mind working on things.
yeah, no, it's definitely just a combination of lots of people. With as much as I race, there's a ton of people that have to be involved to make it go, and every single one of them is important to the process. And just got to finish some stuff out and keep everyone going good, and we'll reap the rewards of it.
And then I just want to give you a minute just to kind of throw some of your sponsors out there because what the heck, you got the
Yeah.
platform, right?
I do. I have a very long list, which is a very good problem to have that I can forget a couple. Pull that up here. Um, got Cobblestone Hotels, Garden Manufacturing Services, IBEW Local 494, Forte Bank, JT Schmidt Plumbing, Keeney Home Services, R&B Roofing, First Choice Boarding and Grooming, Core Distinction Group, Hartford Landscape Supply, Keys Marina, PJ's Painting, AJ Small Engine Repair, Global Fab, JT's on 96, Anglers Bar and Grill, Bridge Bar and Grill, Lake Country Home Repair, Victory Graphics, Miller Lite, Reed Racing, and Advanced Engine Concepts.
Dang.
So,
Do you go after the sponsors yourself? Are you the one actually out there shaking hands and lining them up?
it's probably 50-50 with me and my dad through his kind of years working through Cobblestone. He's gotten me a lot of sponsors, and then the truck's got their own set of sponsors too. So I kind of have them all, with the two different areas. I have my set of Slinger sponsors, set of WR sponsors, and then the Scott Lynch on the 60 team kind of has his set of sponsors. So we got definitely a lot of people supporting racing or my racing through lots of different ways, and it's always a good problem to have when you can't find more room on race cars, and more
Right?
sponsors make plain race cars look a lot better too.
That is facts there. Total facts. Absolutely. Well, Grant, I'm wishing you all the best of luck this season. You are a really nice young man, and you've got a very beautiful hearted girl inside and out.
All right, thank
So
you.
I hope we get an invite to the wedding soon.
I told her she's got to wait a few years yet for that. She's still in the trial run.
Oh, you're awful. You are a shit.
Yeah,
You're a good shit, though,
yeah,
Grant.
yeah.
Well,
All right. Well, thank you.
thank you so much. Appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on. Take
yeah,
care.
take care. Bye.